honestly, it comes down to this. Like, you have to be doing things that make you feel good, that you believe in, because then you're going to be talking on your social, you're going to be approaching people with confidence. And that's the number one thing.
Hello, my lovely listeners, and welcome to another episode of the Feel Good Social Podcast. Oh man, I am very excited to be sharing this episode with you today because I am having a conversation with Lauren Osselton. She is this awesome copywriter, and we just had a really great conversation. Seriously, we were vibing on so many great topics. We chatted about how to really hone in on our brand voice, how to write really awesome social media captions. And she actually also touches on one of my favorite topics that I've just been yapping about for weeks now, batch creating your social content and scheduling it ahead of time. That's actually one of the tips that she uses to really come up with a great strategy every month and make content creation and caption writing easier. And speaking of batching your content every month, I am very, very excited to announce that the waitlist for our new content planning program, the Feel Good Social Map, is now open. In case you missed it on the last episode, the Feel Good Social Map is an awesome 4-week course where I will walk you through the process of creating a content strategy for your business and your audience. Plus, I teach you the exact steps to creating your content in a batch format every month and scheduling it. So this is going to be a 4-week program because I really want to get into the nitty-gritty details of everything and work with you to hone in on the strategy and process that works best for you. But by the end of the 4 weeks, you will have a personalized content strategy for your business. Plus, you will have planned and scheduled your content for the following month. And you will have the tools to repeat this process every month in just a few hours. Think about that. Planning your whole month of content in just a few hours every month. That is what really lights me up, right? All of those hours saved is going to be so awesome. And I am so excited to get started on this program. The doors for this officially open on February 11th, but the wait list is open right now. And if you're interested in the Feel Good Social Map, if you want to save time every month, if you want to make sure that you're reaching your audience in the perfect way, then definitely sign up for the waitlist, because if you sign up for the waitlist before February 11th, you will actually receive a free 1-hour private coaching call with me where we will just get down and dirty with everything social media and your business. And we will really hone in on those trouble points and figure out a great plan for you. I am just so excited for this program, and I hope that you are too. So if you are as well, please go ahead and sign up for the Feel Good Social Map waitlist, and you can find that at feelgoodsocial.com/social map. All right, are you ready to hear this conversation with Lauren? Let's do this. Hey friend, and welcome to the Feel Good Social Podcast. I'm your host, Kinsey, and I'm here to help you market your business in a genuine way that works without wasting your precious time. On this show, we chat about social media strategy and mindset tips with a focus on, you guessed it, feeling good. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some genuine conversation for the good of your biz. Hi, Lauren. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Kinsey. This is so fun. I'm so excited.
Yes, I am so excited about today's conversation because it's one of my favorite topics, if we're honest. But before we dive into that, I did already introduce you a little bit in the intro, but I would love to hear from you. What do you do? Who do you serve? And how did you get started in this copywriting business?
Absolutely. So I'm a copywriter for creatives. My passion, my absolute passion is website copywriting and brand storytelling. But, I didn't come to this place in a very natural way. It was an interesting path, as I feel a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to. My background is digital marketing. So I came from the digital marketing world and started entrepreneurship February of last year. And I just kind of began with full suite digital marketing, thinking, this is what I'm skilled to do. This is what I should do. I'm putting should in quotations because should has since become kind of a naughty word to me. I don't use it. I don't believe in the word should anymore.
Wow. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. So I did that and I wasn't waking up happy. I was still feeling the same feelings I felt in my corporate job, feeling lost, feeling uninspired, feeling like I wasn't really living my purpose. And I spent some time kind of figuring out what that purpose was. And, I niched down to solely doing copywriting because that was the aspect of digital marketing that really truly lit me up and was the part that I knew I could have an impact on. And it was the work that I truly wanted to build my business on. And so I made that niche down, hired a coach, and the rest is kind of history.
Yeah. Oh, man. I feel like I totally relate to your story because I've kind of been struggling with that as well. I keep hearing, niche down, niche down. Also, can I side note and say that I love that you pronounce it niche? Because I hate when people, it's not that I hate it. It's just a weird thing where it's like, is it niche or is it niche? And when I first started using the word, I was like, I've heard it both ways. I have no idea. And I Googled it and I found an article that was like, it can be pronounced either way. And so I always bring it up whenever anyone says niche because I say niche too. I just feel like it's more classy. You know what I mean?
I've always said niche. And then when I heard people start saying niche, I was like, are they pronouncing it wrong? Like, I've never heard niche, at least I'm Canadian. So I hear everyone say niche here.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm happy to relate to the Canadian pronunciation
the Canadian
of the
way.
word. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I know. Niching down is scary, man. But I think it's just so much better for your business when you can focus on something and have that specialty.
100%. And you really can focus on who you want to serve better. Because I really do believe a jack of all trades is a master of none. I really do believe that. And I think at the end of the day, I'll add a caveat to that. I mean, I do know some amazing jack of all trades people, but I truly believed that I wanted to be that master of something. I really wanted to find my jam, and writing's been something that has always been part of my life. I was talking to someone about this yesterday. They were like, when did you start writing? And I'm like, cannot imagine life before. So I can't even tell you. It was just such a natural progression to pair my marketing brain with my love of writing and storytelling.
I love that. Do you write a journal or do you write stories or is it fiction or nonfiction? Where do you really light up when you're writing?
Honestly, as cheesy as it sounds, copywriting. That's where I feel lit up.
Girl, good for you.
I love it. I love copywriting. I fully believe in its power. I'm so passionate about it. I would say in terms of my personal life, when I'm trying to write and everything like that, journaling is huge for me. I get some of my best ideas and my best breakthroughs through journaling, and I really recommend everyone journal, especially entrepreneurs. I also have a couple book ideas in the works that I'm planning on fleshing out in the coming years, but right now it's all about building that business and focusing on that, but definitely have plans.
Awesome. All right. I cannot wait to dive into these questions today with you, but I do have to ask you this one question that I've been asking all of my interviewees. How does social media make you feel?
I love that question. So over the years, I can honestly say I've had a mixed relationship to social media. I've really worked on that relationship, and now I use it solely as a business tool. I've been a social media manager. I've been a digital marketer. I have a solid understanding of social and the power it can really bring for building that brand awareness, sharing your message. And it really wasn't until I entered the world of entrepreneurship where I started to have more fun with it and have fun with it as a marketing tool. So now that I'm using it solely as a business tool, I do try and have fun with it and see it as fun. But I do set strict limits with myself of how much time I can spend on it, what I'm using it for. And because of all these limits that I've put up, I actually really like it now. And I find it to be a really nice place for me to build a community. And I've built a really nice community now that it really lights me up to go on there and talk to them. And so I think I've built this relationship very intentionally to social media that I feel very grateful for it now but it didn't always feel that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I do feel like we're so similar, girl, because I've kind of felt the same way when I was, just using social media for whatever. I felt that disconnection, and like the comparison syndrome and all of that sort of stuff. But now that we've shifted focus and, I'm using it intentionally for my business, and I'm using it intentionally to have real conversations and build this real community, it's just so much better. And that's kind of the direction I want to take my business, where it's like the best marketing is the marketing that you feel good about, like your personality is going to come across, you're going to commit more, and it's just going to work better. I think your audience is going to respond to when you're having fun with it.
And if you feel good about it, you're not going to feel those icky feelings you get when you're marketing or using sales tactics that don't feel aligned with you. And that's what people come up to me and be like, how do you use social media without feeling so like icky? Or how do you write sales copy without feeling so icky? I know we're going to go there later, but honestly, it comes down to this. Like, you have to be doing things that make you feel good, that you believe in, because then you're going to be talking on your social. You're going to be approaching people with confidence. And that's the number one thing.
Yes. Ugh, we're just vibing so hard right now.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what my whole kind of, I just switched my business name from Native Creative to Feel Good Social. And it mostly had to do with this pivot in my business where I was offering this monthly management service and I wanted to do it right, but I still didn't feel like it didn't feel right in my heart. I really wanted to meet my people where they are now and to help them in like the best way I felt possible. And I'm feeling really great about this business pivot right now. I think that it's going to make me feel better about everything, and it's going to make me show up in a better way for my audience.
And that's it. That last part you said, the show up part, because when you feel confident and you feel aligned, which is like what I did when I niched down to copywriting, you show up so much better. You show up so much more confidently, so much more consistently. And that's the key, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So I'm really curious, where have you personally found the most success when using social media to market your business?
So I'm going to kind of break this into two parts. So in terms of a platform, for me, it's Instagram 100%. In terms of an approach, I would say authenticity and consistency are the name of the game. So I talk about authenticity all the time. And I think when I first started my business and first started using social media, I felt like I had to be this professional voice and kind of this neutral voice, kind of using we a lot, or not really taking a stand on anything and not really showing off what makes me me, which is a little bit eccentric. And when I really released that all and recognized my limiting beliefs there and really stepped up and built a solid personal brand and built it around my authentic self, that's where I started to see the success. And that's what really was resonating with people. And when I try and share this idea with other people, I say, your authentic self's going to come out at some point. So why not do it from the beginning? Why are you going to mislead people? Not intentionally, even without malice, but why would you mislead people to thinking you're something or someone you're not, when as soon as they get on the phone with you, they talk to you, they hear your voice, they see your personality, they're going to see through it. So why not just be your authentic self from the beginning?
Yes, that is so just prayer hands, man. I'm giving you prayer hands right now, because I also think that from your own internal perspective, it is so exhausting to try to put up this front that is eventually going to show its face anyway.
Yeah. Or you're just not going to feel aligned or inspired at all.
Exactly. Yeah. I kind of was struggling with that a little bit too with my business. I felt like, I came into this world of trying to say, hey, I'm a professional over here. And I remember the very first time I heard conversational is the new professional or something like that, and I was like, thank God.
Exactly. Like, let your authentic self show. And, the other part I'll add to that is that consistency aspect, because that's the thing that has propelled me on Instagram. Is you have to find a cadence that's going to work for you. So it doesn't have to be posting every day. I actually would say don't post every day. I would say go on your stories every day if you can, but you don't need to be posting every day. You need to find a cadence that's going to be sustainable for you and consistent, because that's what is going to propel your success, because people are going to get used to you showing up. They're going to get used to seeing your face. They're going to start to wonder about your life, and like they're going to miss you if you're not showing up. So you want to be building that consistency.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you said maybe not every day, because I think that that's kind of a shift that's happening on the platform as well right now. Before, people were like, you have to post every day, at least every day, once a day. Now I've been hearing quality over quantity.
Oh, 100%.
And you have to find that nice balance of you're showing up and you're staying top of mind.
Exactly.
But it doesn't have to be every day. Or I love Instagram because you can do 3 times a week on your feed, and that's totally fine. And you can show up every day in your stories, and it can be goofy and it doesn't have to be as planned, and you're still front of mind for people.
Exactly.
Awesome. All right, now let's get into this whole copywriting thing a little bit, because I honestly love what you do, and I cannot wait for you to drop some wordy knowledge on us. And you might not know this about me, but I do believe that captions are the most important part of social media marketing, because it's where, like, the greatest connections and conversions can actually be made. And I know that that's what you do. You help your clients develop this personal brand voice and create dang good copy. So I would love to know, when it comes to, honing in on our brand voice, where should we start?
Okay, that's a big one.
Yeah.
First things first, I will totally agree with you. I am a believer caption is the most important part. You see a lot of people emphasize images, and yes, you need a high quality image for the Instagram algorithm to be happy, but it comes down to your caption. You're so right. That's where you're going to make the connection, drive the conversions. It really gives you that opportunity. And I personally write long form captions, and I'm a proponent for long form, and they're on the growth. They're on the up and up right now on Instagram too. So when it comes to actually honing your brand voice, that is a big question. But I always tell my clients to get intentional and clear on 3 things before they do anything else. So I'll give you this tidbit for now. So the first thing is getting very clear on your why you ultimately are doing what you're doing. And this can't be like a surface level thing. Like, I just like working for myself. It has to be a deeper emotional reason why you ultimately are doing what you're doing. Second, you need to really be clear about who you're there to serve, who your ideal client is in as much detail as possible. Third, you need to decide what sets you apart and what the transformation that you're providing is. Because this is the emphasis in the copy, is that transformation aspect. So those are the 3 things I tell people to get very clear on first, to build a solid foundation. But then when I'm working with my clients, we really dig deeper and get clear on their interests, their values, what they have in common with their ideal client, these types of things, to really develop that brand voice together. So it's hard for me to give you too many details without knowing the particular brand voice we're talking about. But I would say for anyone wanting to start developing that, think of those 3 things: your why, your ideal client, and what's setting you apart.
Yeah, definitely. Oh man, that was so good. I always am like, I have 5 questions now. But firstly, let's start with the why. I was actually listening to another interview on a podcast the other day, and the guys were talking about creating, they help people create mission statements. It was Story Brand with Donald Miller.
Oh yeah, good old Donald.
Yeah, you know it. And they're talking about like creating a mission statement for your life. They started with what really just irks you about the world, and what gets you in the gut, and what do you really want to change. And for example, the guy, he went through this whole long thing, but he was like, I want to help people just enjoy life to its fullest extent, because what are we doing if we're not enjoying it, And that kind of resonated with me, but that's what I think about when it's the why. It's not like, oh, I want to make more money. It's not, I want to travel, which those are both things I want. But no, it's really like, I want to help people do this thing that will change their life.
Exactly. So you're focusing on the impact, and that's what I really would encourage. Think about that impact when you're thinking about your why.
Yes. Oh, man. Yeah. And then the transformation, I love that you brought it there. So when you're figuring out this transformation, how do you go about figuring out what transformation am I giving to my clients, and how do you put that into words?
So I would think about the process behind this. Break down your entire process and then look for the transformation elements within there. So the perfect example are business coaches, 100%, or health coaches, because there's a very clear impact they're leaving. You know, where is the person when they're entering your website and potentially looking to hire you? And where are they when they're at the end of working with you? And that's really going to show you kind of what the potential transformation is. You want to be thinking about how you're improving their life at the end of the day. So for someone like me, the transformation I provide is I want people to feel completely proud and delighted to show people their website, for people to feel like their copy is working for them, not against them or not serving them whatsoever. So depending what you do, that transformation is going to look a lot different. I mean, I'm not literally saving lives with copy, you know? So it's going to be different depending on what you're doing, but I still believe my work is life-changing, even though it's not saving lives. It's just about finding the elements that really are driving home those wins for your clients and are really making their lives better by working with you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that sometimes it's hard for some of us to be like, how am I actually improving this person's life? For me, it's been, a struggle kind of to figure that out. And ultimately, I think that for my business, allowing people to take back time in their lives and enjoy the world more, and also boost their business in the most effective and most efficient way possible.
Exactly. So, a lot of the time that transformation, depending on what you do, if you're like service providers like us, that transformation might be something as simple as saving time, saving money, getting some of your time back to invest in other areas of your business, getting time back with your kids if you're targeting entrepreneurs who are also parents, or, your transformation is going to completely depend on your target audience and your service. But there's different ways you can be thinking about it. And hopefully some of what I've said has given you some prompts to start thinking about it, because your transformation's huge and it's going to be a huge part of your copy strategy.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay. So then the other part of it is figuring out who is your target audience. And this is something I'm super interested to discuss with you, because I feel like the more you can make your brand genuine to yourself and serve the people who you want to serve and all that stuff, the better off you are, the more your business will grow, the better your marketing will be. But how should our brand voices differ from our, everyday personal voice? Should our target audience be our best friend?
I'll break that into two. So for your target audience, no, it doesn't need to be your best friend. Not necessarily at all. It needs to be who you think will most benefit from your offering. And your target audience can definitely shift from offer to offer. Keep that in mind too, even just slight changes. For example, I'll give you a very clear example. I have a website copy editing package and a copywriting package. I get very different people on those, because people who are looking for copy editing are likely newer entrepreneurs who aren't willing to spend what it would cost for me to completely write their site. So, I'm reaching people at different stages. So when you're thinking of your ideal client, you can break it down by offering for sure. You don't want to make your ideal client like night and day different between them, because that's going to be very hard for you to promote your business. But I think ultimately it's getting clear on who's going to benefit from your service the most and who's most likely to be attracted to it. So that's what you need to think of. It doesn't need to be your best friend. And I know a lot of people are all for ideal client avatars and describing your ideal client to their hair color, their demographics, everything like that. I don't do that. I'm a believer in you do need to have a very good idea of your ideal client, but I kind of think of it in a way I'll think of someone already in my audience and I'll think of them when I'm writing. So if I'm writing an offer that I know is more meant for early stage entrepreneurs, I'll think of someone in my audience, my community already, who I think is perfect for this, and I'll write as if I'm talking to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that the ideal client avatar has been just such a hot topic. But I heard for the first time, I heard someone the other day, and I'm trying to remember, I sponge up a lot of podcasts and stuff. So I'm like, which podcast was it on? But they're saying you want to figure out your ideal client avatar and give them what they want and all that stuff. Oh, it was on the Screw the 9 to 5 podcast.
Okay.
You listen to that one.
Don't.
That one's a pretty good one. They're really great. But they were just saying, you want to really know them well and figure out what they want and all that stuff, but you can't have them define your brand voice or define your content. Ultimately, you cannot, because if you're just creating stuff for them, you're not being yourself again.
Exactly. And when I say write with them in mind, I'm more saying as a way for you to frame your kind of content, but 100% agree, because your ideal client will evolve, and with your business is going to grow. You're going to have new offers. You're going to change your offers. You're going to raise your prices. You're going to be attracting different people all the time. So oftentimes, if you're trying to think of an ideal client, I don't necessarily say think of your best friend. Think of you a couple stages before. And that's oftentimes a good place to look for your ideal client, at least to get started.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was fire. I love that.
I can't remember who told me that, but that was something I heard in a training at one point, and that stuck with me for sure, because oftentimes our ideal client looks like an earlier version of us.
Yeah. And we forget that a lot of times. We're trying to, serve all these external people, but the best person you could serve is the person you were a year ago, because you just went through this transformation.
Exactly. And I mean, speaking to your question about voice, I think the caveat there is really...
Are you enjoying this episode right now? Are you picking up what I'm throwing down? I would absolutely love for you to leave a review on iTunes or Spotify and let me know what you like most about this podcast. Because I'll be honest, your opinion means the world to me. You're the reason I'm here. You're the reason I've committed to putting out this fresh content every week. And I'd love to hear what you think.
Speaking to your question about voice, I think the caveat there is really, are you a personal brand or are you more of like a corporate popular brand? That would be my first distinction. Because if you're a corporate or popular brand, no, your brand voice should not be your everyday personal voice. The reason being, there's likely multiple people behind the brand, and you really are going to need to come up with a solid brand voice, independent from anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a personal brand, I really say, no, there shouldn't be a major difference between your brand voice and your everyday personal voice. You're talking to me now. You've read my content. I don't think I sound any different. And I would say it's about finding the voice that feels most authentic to you, that you're comfortable with, that is also resonating with them.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there's some slight tweaks from your personal voice. For example, I curse a lot in real life, but I don't put that in my branding. I don't think that that's going to necessarily attract my people. I don't think it would necessarily repel them, but I just don't feel like it's going to serve me. So I might sometimes curse in stories or something like that, but that's something I've not included in my brand voice. So you'll have to leave some room for some nuances, and you still want to come across as professional, but you want to still be relatable. You still want to be yourself. So I wouldn't say you need to massively differentiate, and I would say don't massively differentiate your brand voice from your personal voice.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you brought it to cursing, because this is something that I had an argument with my mother about. Because I tend to have a potty mouth, in real life sometimes. Yeah. But it's so funny because over Christmas we were watching this documentary about the making of Home Alone. And
oh yeah, I saw that on Netflix.
Yeah, and oh my gosh, I'm like forgetting the guy's name right now. The short dude who the short
Macaulay
burglar.
Oh, what's his name?
Yeah.
Oh,
he's like,
no, I know it. He's from Goodfellas.
I know. Here, wait, I'm going to Google it.
It's going to bug me.
No, I know. I'll Google it, girl, because Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we were watching Home Alone. We watched the movie too, but we also watched the documentary about the making of it. And they're saying Joe Pesci, he's this mobster in all these mob movies. He's like cussing up a storm. And they said for Home Alone, he couldn't get through the script without like adding a cuss word every 3 lines or something. Like, I can't read this, like that sort of stuff. And I just thought it was so funny. So he made up his like fake language. I don't know if you remember the movie, but he's just like mumbling things. And that was his way of getting through it without actually cussing in this children's movie.
That's so funny.
Yeah, I've been kind of like struggling because a big part of my brand is promoting realness. So I've kind of decided that it's okay to cuss, but I'm not going to be putting a cuss word in every 3 words, Joe Pesci style or anything like that.
Exactly.
If it's real and if it's in the moment, then that's okay, And so for every one of these podcast episodes, I'll click that explicit button just in case I say something wrong.
Yeah. No, totally. And that's how I think it should be approached. Like if it's an organic moment and say, like I've put on my stories, like frustrated AF today. And it's like, I'm not swearing, but that stands for a curse word. And it's like, I don't really feel like I need to censor it because it's real. I'm frustrated AF right now. And people can relate to that, you know? And it's like, I don't think you need to overly hide that aspect, but at the end of the day, yeah, some people are going to love you. Some people are not going to like you. But I don't really believe in like outwardly pushing people away. And, you know, I think like cursing is a good way to outwardly push people. It can really turn some people off. And if it's in your like copy and everything like that, like, I don't know. I steer away from it. That said, I've seen some entrepreneurs do a really great job of using curse words and rocking it. So you never know.
Yeah, that's when you really have to know, do I want to narrow my ideal audience down to this? Because exactly, some people could be like relating with you on every level, but they feel strongly about, you know, not using curse words and stuff. And so it's, do I want to push those people away? And maybe on the other side, some people who really don't care about using curse words could like respect it more or get behind you or something like that. But you need to decide, is this what I want to do?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Real quick, I do kind of want to jump back again because I was chatting with one of my friends the other day. She just got this awesome job. It's a nonprofit that works with the rivers here and keeps them clean and all that stuff. And so we were talking about how should she kind of develop this personable brand voice, but for like a professional environment. Do you have any advice about that or how to walk that line?
So fill me in. Is she independent or is she working for this company?
She's working for a small nonprofit in this small town, and they deal with a lot of wealthy contributors. But I think that their office has been very non-personal kind of thing, or like, you know, corporate feeling. For example, one of my suggestions to her was when you're writing out emails, instead of it being from Eagle Watershed Council, maybe it should be from Mel at Eagle Watershed Council or like a person.
Yeah, that's a great first step. When I've worked in corporate jobs before and I would send out the newsletter, I would sign it from my name, team member, or something like that. It does add that personal touch and it lets people know there are faces behind the brand. I think that's a great first step. I would say also another great first step is market research. Find out who's actually reading your content and what they want to see. You can do this in so many ways for free. You can do a quick little Google poll, Google survey. You could send that to your email list. Just say, I'm really looking to improve our communications and our marketing to really ensure we're communicating what you want to know, what you want to hear. So if you could take this survey, you know, people are willing to do that. Put it in, if you have a social media account, I take polls of my audience all the time, right in stories. Find out from the horse's mouth what they want to hear, what they want to see. Number one, I would say start with that.
Yes. Okay. That was great advice. I love that. And then I think that sometimes where people, they kind of get lost in that is that they just take the information at face value. They're like, okay, they want to hear about this, but it's also about kind of taking in the language that the people are using to respond with as well.
I'm so happy you brought that up because that's something I literally do where I tell everybody, if someone comes to you with a pain point, they ask you a question, anything you hear from an ideal client that's in their words, copy and paste it somewhere, put it in a document, because one of the most effective copywriting techniques is to regurgitate their language right back to them, and they won't even know you're doing it. Well, and also then you're getting a better idea of their pain points, what they're actually struggling with, and you can create content to address them. For example, I had someone reach out to me saying, Lauren, how do I write sales copy that's not cheesy? I literally took that question, made it a newsletter campaign, made it a social media campaign, like put that content out for them. She recognized it. She responded to my email and said, thank you so much. I asked you this question last week. You've already answered it. Do that. Be that person.
Yes. Listen to the questions and then regurgitate them, because if one person's asking a question, multiple people are asking a question.
And questions are a great indication of what's holding people back from buying from you too.
Mm-hmm. This is a perfect transition because I want to know, how do I write sales copy that's not cheesy? Or do you have any tips for people who struggle with sales copy like me? Because, yeah, that's one of the things that I really struggle with.
Yeah, honestly, you're not alone. It's probably my most frequently asked question. Sales copy gives people like the heebie-jeebies, like accounting gives me. So I have 4 tips for you guys, and I'm ready to share them. The first thing I would say is, I know this is going to be like, oh, Lauren, seriously, but take the time to really be 100% confident on your offer. Create those packages, those offers that you know are life-changing, because then you're going to be showing up so confident that when you're writing your sales copy, it's going to come from a legitimately genuine place. You're going to be like, this will change your life because you believe it. So it's about getting your beliefs aligned first and knowing that you feel so lit up from this package that it's going to sell itself. That's what you need to do first, because that belief will reflect in your writing. That confidence will reflect in your writing. So number one, take that time.
I'm like clapping over here because I'm so glad you said that. That's a lesson that I've learned really recently. I've kind of been transitioning my own business, and it was one of those realizations where I was like, the reason I'm struggling when I hop on discovery calls, or the reason I feel bad when I'm trying to promote myself, is because the offerings aren't perfect. And so that's exactly what I've been working on, is organizing my offers and streamlining them and making them the best they can possibly be, and something that I can fully believe in. And that makes all the difference.
I will say, though, lovingly release perfect from your language, because perfect will never exist. At some point, it does have to go out. And so as a recovering perfectionist, I'm lovingly saying, release that from your language. What I mean more is taking the time that you feel in your heart that it is perfect for that person. But perfect, like, it doesn't exist. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. And at some point, yes, you do need to give yourself that kick in the pants and launch the offer. But I mean, getting comfortable and getting really clear on the integrity of the offer and making sure that it's really lighting you up. So, you know, you can always polish them. You can always add new features to them. You can always change your prices. You're the business owner. You're in control. But perfect doesn't exist. It will never be perfect, but it will be life-changing, and that you can create, because you can touch people's lives with your services. It's just about how you're packaging them up and how you're really showing up for them.
Yeah, I'm glad that you caught me on that, because exactly. I think that not all of us, but a lot of entrepreneurs have that like little bit of perfectionism in them. And looking back, you know, I'm about to, I think in March, it's coming up on a year in business for me. And one of the biggest takeaways from this year is that I just did it, man. I'd be working on something for hours and hours and hours. And finally, there was a point when I was like, I just need to let this go, let it fly, you know, and just start doing. And I was showing up every day, and I wasn't sure if I really had a plan sometimes, or, you know, it was kind of off the cuff sometimes because I was just feeling that first year of business ownership and everything. But the fact that I was showing up made all the difference, because now I'm where I am instead of just starting out.
Exactly. And like, that's the difference. You pointed it out perfectly. Like, perfect doesn't exist, but you'll get to a point where you're just keeping on working on things. And like, that's where the perfectionism is coming in. And at some point, yes, you just need to recognize within you, like, no, this is ready to just go. It needs to be launched. It needs to be out in the world, because if you wait for perfect, you're going to be waiting a long ass time.
Yeah. It's like walking that line between making something great, but then not procrastinating with perfectionism.
I'm saying definitely create something that's epic and excellent and value packed, but that still doesn't have to be perfect, because perfect doesn't exist.
For sure. And that's what I think business coaches and putting yourself in like a group environment, or putting yourself in like a place where you can bounce ideas off of people, that's where that really is so helpful and comes in, you know, because like I know you said you have invested in a business coach, and I'm about to transition to my second business coach. And I love it, because exactly that's where I get in my head, where I'm like, I know I'm procrastinating right now, and I just need someone to tell me to let that baby fly.
Exactly. 100%. So that would be my first tip for sales copy.
Okay. Yeah. First tip. Second tip,
we've already kind of talked about, embrace your authenticity, because I find like the number one mistake I see in sales copy is when people really don't sound like themselves. And that's when it sounds salesy and cheesy.
Yep.
Really, in my opinion. If you're sounding like yourself and you're just legitimately lit up about this product or service and how it's going to transform your ideal client's life, that's fine. You be yourself. You don't need to be like Joe salesman, like cheesiness and trying to convince people. You can convince them subtly without being outwardly salesy. by being passionate and by being rock solid clear on your offer and by being confident in your offer, that's going to show without you even needing to resort to icky sales tactics.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
That would be number 2. Leading me to number 3, which is my cardinal rule. It's not about you, it's about them. So that's like number 1 for writing good sales copy, is remembering that. When I'm saying being your authentic self, yes, but at the end of the day, they're the hero of the copy, and you need to remember that. And my last tip is sometimes you can just embrace the cheese. So I purposely sometimes run with the cheese. If I'm feeling uncomfortable with the sales tactic, or not even uncomfortable, if I want to kind of laugh at it a little bit, I will embrace the cheese. I've been known to throw in dad jokes, known to throw in puns. I've done it. I'll do it again. So sometimes you just got to roll with the cheesiness.
Yes. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because that's kind of my go-to, making myself feel more comfortable in sales is like making this really dumb joke and then making fun of myself for the joke.
Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the day, the way to write good sales copy is to feel confident and to feel lit up by your offer and to just be yourself.
Yeah. Okay. I cannot wait to re-listen to this episode. I'm going to pump myself up to write some sales copy.
I will add that too. Have some pump up jams. Like, what music gets you hyped? Be in the zone, and don't try and write your sales copy when you're not feeling 100% aligned with your business, 100% aligned with your offer, and feeling lit up AF.
Yes, lit up AF. Okay. Oh man, I know. I need to remind myself that more often. If I'm ever just feeling down and in my head, literally just take a 5-minute break, throw on some dorky 80s music or, Lizzo or whatever, and just feel better and dance around a little bit, and it improves your energy. Your energy comes through, whether it's in photos or writing, however your feeling comes through. And so the more you can alter your vibe, the better, I think.
100%. There's times when I've scheduled in, okay, I'm going to work on my sales copy at this time. And if I'm not feeling it, I even move it by a day. Like, I'm ruthless with that. Like, I will not write unless I'm feeling it, because that's that's what I preach. So if I'm not practicing what I preach, who am I?
Yep, for sure. Okay, now that we've kind of discussed the sales copy a little bit, let's move into writing for social media. What are your tips for writing great social media captions?
Ooh. So my number 1 tip is 100% to be ready when inspiration strikes. So have a note on your phone, a note on your computer, a notebook. Mine's literally a notebook that you write ideas, and just stream of consciousness, anything that's in your head. I get my best caption ideas in the shower. Fun fact. So I'm always after the shower, sitting down, journaling, writing down everything that came through. Some people say it happens during nap time. Like, it can happen at the weirdest time. So be prepared, because then when you sit down to actually write your captions, you can think from more of a strategic angle. Like, okay, today I'm going to be trying to write a value-based post about XYZ in order to promote this offer. So you know the strategy, right? You know what you're going for. Then you go through your idea notebook and find something that's going to support that. So that's really been the transformational aspect of how I've made social media caption writing a quicker and more natural process. So I would say that, number 1, and I would say batch your creation time. So I batch work my entire social media process. So I select all the images at once. I edit all the images at once. I select all my hashtags at once. I write all the captions at once. I schedule at once. Like, batch it chunk by chunk, because it'll make it more digestible. And then in terms of like actually formatting Instagram caption, my recommended formula is to have some sort of a heading, because you'll notice every single time now on Instagram when someone posts, you have to press read more to read the caption. So you want to make sure that they always press read more. So whatever you need to do to hook them, do it. Like, I'll often say something that's teasing out what's going to happen later in the post, or I'll say like, stop and read this right now. Like, something that's going to get their attention, that's going to almost jar them a little bit, but not in a scare tactics kind of way, but just get their attention with the heading. Get their attention, make them click more. Or I sometimes write like my number 1 sales tip. People want to know, right? Get them, hook them with the heading. And then tell a story in some aspect. So I was saying this, kind of hinting at this earlier, but longer form captions are on the rise for Instagram. I think I saw, it was later sent out a study today where it's steadily rising year after year. And I think now it's 800 or something characters is the average. And that's the trend. If you look at Jenna Kutcher, you look at Amy Porterfield, you look at these strong personal brands in the industry, they're doing this now too. So I encourage longer form captions when appropriate, not unnecessarily so, but if you can tell some sort of story that is going to connect with your ideal client and bring it back to your main point you're trying to drive home, that's an excellent tactic. And then always 100% of the time have a CTA at the bottom of your Instagram post. Tell them what you want them to do next. Don't ask them. Say, comment below your number one tip for this, or does this sound like you? Drop me this emoji below. Do something. Tell them exactly what you want them to do. Don't ask them. That was the thing I was talking to a friend about yesterday. She asked me to review a couple captions she was writing, and her CTA said something like, could you please share your number one tip below? And a simple tweak as share your number one tip below. You're telling them what to do. Because if you ask, they're not going to necessarily take another action. And then aesthetically, I always say take the time, hide your hashtags. There's no real study that's showing by having them in your caption is beneficial. So I always stick them in a comment below. Just from an aesthetic standpoint, people see your caption. That's what they're focusing on.
Yeah. Oh man, that was so awesome. I love it. Wow. That is so good. There's so many things. I think that it's so awesome that you're saying that about the CTAs because that's so important. People respond to direct instruction. You know, that's how we were raised. So even if you're asking a question at the end, like, what's your favorite color? You should say, let me know in the comments below, because if you're just asking a question to the universe, people will respond in their head and they won't think about actually taking action. And so whenever you want people to take action, write that direct instruction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just sounds like more impactful. In general, I always advise my clients to not use wishy-washy language, any language that doesn't make you sound confident. Like, I think that Instagram is the best place for you to promote your business. Say, Instagram's the best place to promote your business.
Yes.
Be confident. Like, that language is 100% playing into the psychology of your leads. They want to see that confidence. They want to know that you're the authority here.
Oh, yes, girl. Yes, all the time. I write out a caption for Instagram and I go back and I edit it and I take out all of the I thinks or I would suggest. I'm not a very direct person, you know. I grew up in the Midwest. We're like, oh, you know, everyone love us and let's be nice.
You're like Canadians.
Yeah, we're like, exactly. We're like one and one, girl. We're soul sisters because I will write out my captions and then I'll go back and I'll remove those suggestive terms, I guess. It makes all the difference. And I reread it and I'm like, this sounds so much better. Why didn't I just write like that in the first place? And I think partially that's working on my confidence as an entrepreneur in my first year of business. And then also, you know, the background of us being like, make everyone happy and all that stuff. But it's definitely like a mindset shift that we need to implement and we can do it. It's just about shifting your mindset and being aware. And then, you know, editing.
Exactly. And, you know, that mindset shift is huge. And I think just be unapologetic in your content. And, you know, nothing bothers me more than when someone hops on stories and says, sorry, I've been absent, guys. It's like, no, why are you apologizing? This is your business. You get to make the rules. Don't be apologetic in your approach, in your stories, in your feed, because it shows a lack of confidence, even if that's not what's going on. I mean, I know it's against a lot of our nature to not apologize. I mean, I'm Canadian. We do it. I'm literally the stereotype. I say sorry way too much. And it's not going to serve your marketing to be apologetic in any way. It shows a lack of confidence, even though it's not what you're intending to do.
I am so glad that you just kind of connected those two for me. I don't know if I consciously have connected the apologetic part of my personality to lack of confidence. Oh man, wow. That was a great shift that happened right there. I'm so glad that we went into that because no apology, man. And if you are apologetic, it shows this lack of confidence, even if that's not really what you're feeling on the inside.
Yeah, you might be the most confident person in the world and you actually are just saying sorry, but it looks like you're not confident and you're trying to show up as the authority. And yes, you're okay to have human moments where you're not feeling confident. I'm not saying always feel confident. That's not possible. We all have our moments. But when you're showing up for your business, I say always be as confident as possible. If you're really wanting to show your audience more the real side of something you're going through, there's some ways you can do that, but really trying to show up as confidently as you can. Saying you're sorry for not being on stories is just going to make people aware of the fact that you haven't been on stories. Whereas if you just show up, be confident, bring value to them first, they're going to be like, great, she's here. Awesome.
Totally. Yeah. Because I've heard that too, or I've seen that myself, even people who they'll send me an email, I haven't heard from them in a month, and they're like, sorry, I haven't showed up in a month. And it's, oh yeah, you haven't.
Yeah. It just brings awareness. And now you're like, well, yeah, where have you been for a month?
Yeah. Where have you been for a month?
And it's like, not that you're even judging, but if you're thinking from the mind of a potential consumer, yeah, you did just kind of drop off the face of the world for a month. So are you really reliable? Am I going to be able to trust you and know you're going to be on top of things for me? But we all go through shit. And sometimes, excuse my language, we all go through shit. And sometimes you are going to be going through something. And I'm not saying show up when you are. I'm saying you don't need to apologize for not showing up.
Yeah. Oh, yes, totally. I love what you said about the vulnerability part as well. And I actually heard, I think Amy Porterfield said this the other day on her podcast. And I've been bringing this up a lot, where it's share the scar, not the scab. Have you heard that?
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I literally have it written here that I was going to say that.
Oh my God. No, we're so aligned. Don't you love that? Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. My first coach said that to me, Amanda. She's amazing. Amanda Colby was I joined her coaching program, and that was one of the first things she said to us was share your scars, not your wounds.
Yes.
Yeah. So Amy Porterfield says it. I know it's a big thing, and I've heard it a few times.
What does that mean to you?
Yeah. So what I really think this means is we all go through personal or professional barriers, and entrepreneurship is really hard. And it's understandable that we're going to be experiencing some really tough times. And I think it is important that you're real with your audience and that you are honest about who you are and what you're going through. But if you're in the middle of going through that, you need to go through it and be by yourself and go through it with yourself. You don't need to be going on social media and getting a million opinions and getting a million eyes on these things, because it's not going to necessarily benefit other people. It's going to benefit other people when you're coming from a place of, I went through this, here's what happened. I want to share that story with you and I want to connect with you on this, because you're not emotionally still in the thick of it. You need to allow yourself time to go through what you're going through and really heal through it. And I don't really believe in bringing that into business. I believe allowing yourself to have that time. You can let your audience know you're going through a hard time if you want to, but I say, dig into those things when you're on the other side and you can really help someone and make an impact with it, and use your more close-knit network to get through times that you need some support with. As a business, that's kind of my stand on it. I'll give you an example. When I first started working for myself, I had burned out from my corporate job and I didn't want to tell anyone that. And I didn't. I was like, you know what? This is obviously something I'm not ready to share. Now I'll tell people I burned out. I'm fine because I'm past it. I've recovered from it. It's a scar now. It's not an open wound. And I'm able to actually see the lesson behind everything I went through and help and empower other people. As opposed to if I had just been still in the thick of it, I don't think it would have been really beneficial for anyone. So I would say that for sure. The other thing I'm a big believer in, and this might be controversial, but I also don't get political at all. Unless your brand is like that, I have a really great friend who is an empowerment coach, and she's all about being unapologetic, and she'll get political, and it makes sense because of what she's teaching, what she's all about. For me, doesn't have anything to do with my brand, and I purposely stay neutral on everything. I don't post anything political. I don't post anything about holidays. The only things I'll recognize are things pertaining to Canada Day, because I'm like, it's not like religious. I just don't get into it. just for me, I find it's easier to stay neutral, because when you are getting political, or you're celebrating certain holidays, you have to celebrate everyone. You can't just exclude people, or it gets really messy. So I say, unless it's really aligned with your brand, stay neutral.
Yep. I'm really glad that you brought that up there. I've been thinking about that a lot, especially considering, the whole, should I cuss on the podcast, like that sort of thing. And whenever you're dealing with difficult scenarios or difficult experiences or situations, I think that you should think about, especially when it comes to your business, does this propel my business forward? So with my whole take on, dirty words and stuff, I think that it promotes my brand value of realness. And we're not doing it like outrageously or anything like that. And so I think that it does propel my business forward. And, if people are offended, then that's okay. Like it's representative of my brand value, but I don't get political either. I do not want to step into that. That has nothing to do with my brand. Like it's not necessary.
And, it's the same thing. It's like, you don't want to be like turning that many people away. But if it's so on brand for you, like my friend I'm saying, like she's about that, about being unapologetic. And when she talks about it, it makes sense. And I love her content. So it really depends. It really does. I would say kind of like at the end of the day, everything you post has to have a purpose. It really has to have a purpose. So don't just post because you're like, I need to post today. I haven't posted in 3 days, because it's going to literally do nothing for you. Everything needs a purpose. Even if that purpose is simply for them to get to know you better, or simply to share a quick fact to make their day better, anything, like it has to have a purpose.
Yes. Okay. I've loved our conversation today, Lauren, and I could just talk to you for 3 more hours. Let's be honest, but I think that we should cut it off now. I might have to have you just come on, the pod again later. We can just continue this rad conversation.
Yeah, anytime.
But before I let you go, can you please tell my listeners, where can we find you and connect with you?
Absolutely. So you can find me pretty much everywhere on social. Lauren Osselton, creative copywriter. Instagram handle is at Lauren Osselton _creative. Website is laurenosselton.com. That'll all be in the show notes. I even have a little freebie for you guys of 30 Instagram prompts to get you started for when you're feeling stuck. And these aren't just fluff, they're about really things that are going to propel your brand and have a purpose. So I'm so excited to share that with you guys. I know Kinsey's going to put it in the show notes where you can find it and get your hands on that, because that's a really good resource. I'm actually planning on building into a huge free guide down the line. So super excited to share with you guys.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Lauren. It has been such a fun conversation, and I feel like I've just known you forever,
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And thanks for having me. This has been so fun.
Awesome. Thank you. I wasn't lying, right? That was such a great conversation with Lauren. And yeah, you could probably tell that I was geeking out a little bit, because I was just having so much fun chatting with her, and I felt like we were just getting each other, soul sisters for life, let me tell you. So if you did enjoy this episode, please go stalk Lauren on Instagram. She is at Lauren Osselton _creative, and you can find that down in the show notes. And again, if you never want to be like, what should I post today? If you want to save yourself hours every month, please go to feelgoodsocial.com/social map and sign up for the waitlist for our new content strategy and batch planning course. It is going to be such a great time, guys, and I promise that this course is just going to be life-changing. I'm talking hours back every month, maybe even days. Because believe me, no judgment. I know that it can take a long time. And so that is what I am here to help you with. I'm here to help you stop wasting time and start using the time more intentionally that you do put into your social media. And that is what this program is all about. So if you are interested in signing up for that, don't forget to go to feelgoodsocial.com/social map, and you can find more information there. All right. Oh, thanks so much for listening. I truly, truly appreciate you. And we'll chat next week. Thank Thanks so much for listening, my friend. For show notes and a whole lot of other awesome freebies, visit feelgoodsocial.com. Simply go to feelgoodsocial.com for all the goods.